皆さんこんにちは、佐藤です。Today's lesson is about how to say I in Japanese because I got some questions about that. It's going to be a little bit different from usual grammar lessons, but it's a really important topic for you guys and I want you to know about this before we move on to the next step. In this video, I'm going to introduce various ways to say I and explain the differences.Which one do Japanese people use the most? では、始めましょう。Let's get this started. First one I'm going to talk about is 私. You are familiar with this, right? In Japanese language education, Japanese teachers stick with teaching 私 because it's polite and used by both male and female.This is the safest one to use. Female speakers use 私 in both formal and informal settings. However, most of the male speakers use it only in formal situations. 私 is appropriate for formal or professional settings such as job interview, public speech, business email, or customer service.When female speakers use it in casual situations, it sounds nice and neat. Some male speakers use it too in casual situations, but it's not common. Next one is 私. 私. It sounds more friendly, casual, and it's used by adult women and young girls. 私 is easier to pronounce compared to 私. 私 is used in informal situations. It sounds casual, friendly, and feminine. Next one is for male. 僕 sounds gentle, polite, and smart. Usually when small boys say that, it's cute. And when adult men say that, it sounds mature and cool. 僕 is neutral in terms of formality, not as formal as 私, but you can use it when you talk to people in higher positions. 僕 sounds nice and polite. It can be used in casual situations too. 僕 is the original pitch pattern, high and low pitch pattern, 僕. But some adult men tend to say 僕 with low and high pitch pattern 僕 and it sounds more mature 僕. You may have heard Japanese men say this a lot. 俺 It is casual and manly, less gentle than previous one 僕. 俺 can be used only in casual situations. People think it's rude and cocky to use this in formal settings. All of these pronouns can be used by all ages of people except 私, which is too formal for small children. Children use their own names or nicknames to refer to themselves.And then as they grown up, girls change it to 私 or 私 and boys start using 僕 or 俺. When we grow up, we use different pronouns depending on the situation. In formal settings, people use 私, but in informal settings, we use some other pronouns.Now let's see which one Japanese people use the most in daily conversations. There are some surveys about that, and I also did a poll survey. I'll show you the overall results. Which first-person pronoun do you use when you talk to your friends, partner, and family? 42% of female speakers use 私, and 28% 私 18% うち Uchi is a dialect and people from some areas use it. and 7% of female speakers use their own names. But a lot of people say it's childish because usually small children do that. Some guys think it's cute, but this is not for grown-up women. How about male speakers? 61% of male speakers use 俺 and 32% 僕 5% 自分 自分 means myself, yourself, oneself. When you use it as a first-person pronoun, it sounds really mature and professional. Most of the people who use 自分 and 私 age more than 40s. In casual situations, they sound too formal and not common, but some people use those pronouns to make themselves sound mature and calm. So this is the results of the surveys. A lot of Japanese learners ask, which one should I use? For female, it's quite easy to choose 私 because it can be used in both formal and informal settings, the most common and natural one for female speakers. However, for male speakers, it's more complicated. Some Japanese learners say, okay, most of Japanese men use 俺, so I'm gonna use 俺 too. But it's not that easy. Let's see the difference between two common pronouns, 俺 and 僕. These pronouns describe different personalities. Have you seen these characters from some manga and anime? They use 僕. It sounds gentle, polite, and smart. And these characters use 俺. It's manly, casual, and sometimes cocky. If you know these characters, you may understand that their personalities fit each pronoun. You can use the one describing your personality well, but there's a problem here. If you are a beginner in Japanese and know only formal and polite phrases, it will be unnatural to say 俺 in your formal and polite speech because 俺 is casual. You can use it in polite speech when you talk to your friend who is older than you. The situation is not so formal, but you still use polite speech because he's older than you. In that case, you can use 俺 with formal and polite phrases. Like 俺もです, me too. 俺 is casual, but です is polite. In other formal occasions, you'd better not use 俺. When you talk casually with your close friends or partner, of course you can use 俺. So most of Japanese men switch to pronouns depending on the situation. More than 60% of Japanese men use 俺 in informal settings, but they also use 僕 when they are at work or talk to people in higher positions. These are the first-person pronouns I introduced today. There are a lot more, but these are the most common and basic ones. If you want to learn really formal Japanese for your job, you'd better use 私. In daily conversation, 私 is the most natural and common one for female. For male, switching 僕 and 俺 is natural. But if you think it's hard to use different pronouns depending on the situation, you can stick with 僕, which is neutral. In my basic Japanese lessons, I'm still going to stick with 私 because it's formal and used by both male and female. But if you want to use other pronouns, you can just replace it. When we move on to learning casual speech, it will be more natural to use 俺. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. ありがとうございました。